This is NBC Palm Springs. Breaking news.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gino Lamont.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. We begin tonight with breaking news. California is rolling back to near shutdown rules, and that's where we begin tonight.
We are directing they close indoor operations in additional sectors, fitness centers, places of worship, offices for non-critical sectors, personal care services, that includes hair salons, barbershops, and indoor malls.
You heard it there. Local gyms, hair salons, barbershops, places of worship, and indoor malls must all close. This affects Riverside County and 29 other counties. Plus, all indoor activities statewide must cease immediately. That includes indoor dining, museums, movie theaters, and more. Cases are skyrocketing in California, and hospitalizations are up 28% over the last 2 weeks. Riverside County has been on the state's watch list, though, for almost a month now, and our closures have been more extensive and early on. Our Kitty Alvarado spoke with those affected to get their reaction to today's news. She joins us live now from Sacred Heart Church. Kitty.
That's right, Sarah. And the list of closures, or I should say additional closures here in Riverside County, is a really familiar list because these places were the last to reopen last time around. And places like places of worship, gyms, and hair salons, well, the people who own them and the leaders of like this local church, they're disappointed. Riverside County is among 30 counties that will have to close gyms, worship services, hair and nail salons, and indoor malls again.
These 30 counties in total represent about 80% of the population in the state of California.
These indoor services were last to reopen in May. The county's surge in COVID cases is above what the state allows. Angela Edmondson, owner of Rose Gold Hair Salon in Cathedral City, got word of the closures while working out.
And I just looked at my gym owner and I was like, they closed us down again.
She says the last closure was tough enough.
Financially, this is a pretty hard blow. I mean, it took us 12 weeks last time to get unemployment, and now here we go again.
Andrew Witch, general manager of World Gym in Palm Desert, says he's not surprised.
I wish we as Californians took this more serious so we wouldn't have to scroll back. I wish that people looked at each other and wanted to make it a better place in that way. I mean, you look around the gym, everybody's wearing their masks and they're doing it for each other so we can stay open as a gym. So I'm disappointed, for sure.
Monsignor Howard Lincoln of Sacred Heart Church in Palm Desert says while they are disappointed, giving up worship services temporarily for the greater good fits into the teachings of the church to love thy neighbor.
It's not too much of a sacrifice to reach out and try to protect others. And our right to practice our religion does not include the right to expose others to a very communicable disease that is sometimes fatal.
And the governor also said that the state will be continuously monitoring those counties affected. So when conditions improve, all of the openings will be reversed. But if you have a church, like you go to the one here at Sacred Heart, they will have online services, so check with your local church, your mosque, or your synagogue to see if they offer that. Monsignor Lincoln says that they've already started recording services for the following week. Reporting live from Palm Desert, Kitty Alvarado, back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Kitty. Internal documents from the CDC warn fully reopening schools would be, quote, the highest risk for the spread of coronavirus. Now, that document was obtained by the New York Times. States are debating whether to reopen schools during the resurgence in coronavirus cases. The Trump administration continues to push for schools to reopen. The White House is yet to release a plan or endorse a CDC guidance for reopening our schools.
California's two largest school districts, San Diego and Los Angeles, announced students will not return to school in the fall. They're starting online and might transition to in-person at a later date. That's similar to what's happening here at our local districts. In-person classes are going to look different, no doubt, although it's uncertain what the future holds. Olivia Sandusky spoke to local districts and joins us now with more for parents. Olivia.
Sarah, it's definitely a difficult task, but the superintendents tell me right now they're making the safety and the health of their staff and students a main priority. And while most do have kind of a general plan of what in-person education will look like, it will be a lot of work and time before we'll see students back here on campus. The Palm Springs and Desert Sands districts will start the school year virtually as staff formulates a plan for eventual in-person education, including temperature checks and face coverings.
We will be providing 2 cloth and 2 disposable face coverings at a minimum for students. We're also providing face shields for all teachers.
With COVID-related criteria changing almost weekly, the PSUSD superintendent says her district will create guidelines to handle positive tests when the date to return to campus gets closer.
We have a nurse manager who works closely with the Department of Public Health, and so we will be working with them to make sure that the protocols and processes we follow are in alignment with what the Riverside County Office of, or Department of Public Health expects.
She also says teachers who miss work due to COVID-19 are eligible for worker benefits as laid out by Governor Newsom. But what about the substitutes filling those absences?
We're going to be needing to make sure our substitutes have different kind of training and updates than we may have given them before. And we're going to make sure that we are limiting them from being at every school.
As local districts finalize plans, President Trump and the Secretary of Education have emphasized the need for schools to reopen.
There is nothing in the data that would suggest that kids being back in school is dangerous to them.
But the CDC lists in-person classes as a high-risk activity. And while the White House task force says the child mortality rate for COVID-19 is less than 1%, the Coachella Valley Teachers Association says that would equal over 3 deaths in their district, adding that's 3.5 more than we'd be okay with. And another concern that we've heard from parents includes the idea that coming back to campus could add some stress to the students as well as the staff. But the PSUSD superintendent did tell me they have counselors and programs they are preparing, and some they already have in place to help out in that area. Reporting live in Palm Desert, Olivia Sandusky, NBC Palm Springs.
All right, thank you, Olivia. Let's take a look at our local COVID-19 numbers. 983 new cases were reported in the county since Friday, 292 on Saturday, 46 on Sunday, and 222 today. 231 new cases were reported in the Coachella Valley since Friday, 13 new deaths countywide, and 9 of those from our valley. Indio has the most cases in our valley with 1,937. Indio also has the most deaths, climbing up now to 47.
Health officials are still working around the clock to learn more about the coronavirus, and it seems to change most every day. The World Health Organization is now saying patients who recover from COVID-19 may be able to get the coronavirus again, and studies are suggesting their immunity could wane after a few months. Our Daytona Everett is live in studio tonight, and she joins us with a fact check on some of the most common questions and misconceptions about this virus. Daytona.
You know, scientists and health officials can't give us definitive answers on everything because there's just not enough research that's been done, but they are the best source of information. With lots of misinformation swirling around, I asked a medical director at one of our local hospitals those questions that we're all talking about to see what's true and what's not.
Let's get down to the facts of the coronavirus.
First up, can COVID-19 be spread through food?
Directly through food, no, but the process of eating can be exposure.
Does warm weather kill the virus?
Unfortunately not. We were hoping that would be the case, but it doesn't seem to have an effect.
Can you get the virus from mail?
The mail is the absolute lowest way to catch COVID.
Can animals spread the virus?
Well, I think in general, we're not sure about all animals, but we don't think common household pets spread the virus.
Do cleaning products kill the virus?
Yes, we're very confident that the virus is contained that way.
Are kids' symptoms different than adults?
Children can be carriers of the illness with low symptoms, but remember that a lot of kids have been staying home, so they're obviously not in contact with other kids.
Can you get it again if you have the antibodies?
We are finding that most people aren't getting reinfected, and that people that are antibody positive seem to be doing very well and safe.
Does it cause permanent damage?
I know the fatigue is a big issue. It seems like the taste and smell issues come back. I think there can be permanent lung scarring, injuries to different organ systems. There are some neurologic compromises that people are concerned about. We really won't know for years what the long-term consequences of COVID are.
Is it spreading faster, and is it getting less severe?
I think we're seeing a combination of just a large number of people being exposed to it, but we're also not seeing as many critically ill patients as we did at the beginning.
Do vitamins help prevent it?
That's recommended, that zinc, 50 milligrams twice a day, vitamin C are supposed to be helpful, and I think a lot of people swear by it.
Can masks really make you sick?
No, unless you're claustrophobic.
Last but not least, what's the most asked question?
When is this going to end?
His answer:
when it's over.
Dr. Kontaxis says personally he's most worried about the mental health aspect of the virus. Everyone is isolated right now, and he says dealing with that reality is also urgent. For NBC Palm Springs, I'm Daytona Everett.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
All right, we have a live look for you now of a fire that's burning out of control. It's a vegetation fire. It's being called the Casino Fire, and it's near Anza. Right now, CHP has shut down Highway 371 from Howard Road to the Kauai Casino entrance. And again, here's a time-lapse look over the last hour of this fire, which exploded at about 3 o'clock today and has already spread to 125 acres. At this hour, it is 0% contained. And with that, let's check in with meteorologist Jerry Stefan, who's in for Mike today. Jerry, the fire conditions, we've got wind, it's hot, and it's dry.
Yeah, the winds will pick up over the next couple of hours, too. Right now, sustained winds at 7 miles an hour, gusting to 20, though, and those winds will move up. Relatively dry, too. 11% relative humidity. Those numbers will go up, too. That's good news, but not a whole heck of a lot. 90 degrees at Anza right now. So, yeah, the fire conditions are not that great with those winds, which will accelerate for the next few hours and then back off overnight. As far as record-setting temps, we saw quite a bit of them over the southwest yesterday. Most notably, that 121 in Palm Springs, beating the old record of 120 set back in 1985. Several other records were beat, including all the way into Phoenix with 116. That was a new record. Right now, still excessive heat numbers around the valley. 115 at Palm Springs and Coachella, 112,000 Palms and Desert Hot Springs, 105 right now at 29 Palms, 90s around the San Gorgonio Pass cities. Clear skies over the valley, a few high clouds kind of rotating in. High pressure center over parts of eastern Texas and extending all the way into New Mexico. And you can see all those clouds and convection rotating around that system. And we're seeing a little bit of that over Southern California, the very western perimeter, but not a whole lot of cloud cover. Matter of fact, all the rain and convection staying well over to our east. You can see lightning strikes associated with that system, which will back off beginning tomorrow. But we still have an excessive heat warning for a couple of hours, expires at 8 o'clock. Temperatures back off as that high pressure center begins to weaken. So temperatures come back down to where they should be, around that 110 mark for the Coachella Valley beginning tomorrow. Dew points in the 40s, temperatures definitely above 110 in some areas tomorrow. A string of 109s begin tomorrow. Full forecast in 70 in just a bit.
Authorities are confident a body they recovered is that of actress Naya Rivera. The body was discovered this morning at Lake Piru. It was found floating in an area of the lake where the water is between 35 and 60 feet deep. She disappeared after renting a pontoon boat with her 4-year-old son. Her son was discovered later that day sleeping on the boat with his life jacket on. Her son said the two were swimming. She pushed him back in the boat and then disappeared beneath the water. Officials say there's no indication of foul play or suicide.
Still ahead, as cases surge at astonishing rates in Florida, Disney World reopened in Orlando. We'll show you how Mickey Mouse is socially distancing in the age of coronavirus.
When we welcome our viewers here on the West Coast, the testing breakdown, the long wait for COVID results, thwarting efforts to trace the virus as it explodes out of control. Also, why, after resisting for so many years, Washington's NFL franchise has now agreed to change its name and the other teams under pressure. When we see you back here tonight.
Well, in spite of the surge of cases in Florida, Disney World reopened its doors for the first time in months. It's hoping to let visitors have a little fun while putting new measures in place in an effort to keep them safe from the virus. When Disney shut down back in March, there were 155 cases of COVID-19 in Florida. The state has just leapfrogged New York for the most infections in a single day. Now many are wondering if reopening the park is the right move. Sam Brock has more.
This morning, Disney fans are experiencing the magic once again.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
The sight of the beloved theme park returning, bringing some to tears. As visitors get their first taste of rides and lines in a socially distanced environment. Disney is not only limiting the number of guests allowed in the park each day, they've also implemented a new ticketless reservation system. They're checking visitors' temperatures when they enter the park and requiring them to wear face masks too.
They're doing sanitizing, masks. We have face shields on the cast members. I mean, it is a very different park than when it was closed down in March.
Has that changed your kids' experience at all?
Brooke, has it changed your experience? No, not at all.
The Evans family from California booked their trip to Disney World back in March.
The magic is still here. You know, it feels a little different with the mask. It's hot, we're sweating, but we can do it.
But not everyone is pleased about Mickey's return. Taking to social media, "I love you, Disney, but reopening Walt Disney World at this time is a big mistake. Hashtag profits before people." New infections in this state, passing 250,000 over the weekend and 15,000 in a single day. How worried are you?
I'm worried because not only are we seeing spikes in the virus, we're seeing spikes in hospitalizations.
Disney World isn't the only theme park to reopen after a COVID-related closure. SeaWorld, Legoland, and Universal Orlando, part of our parent company NBC Universal, all reopened in June. Universal Orlando and SeaWorld requiring employees and guests to wear face masks, with Legoland encouraging its guests to wear them. All of the parks have temperature checks, cashless payments, and social distancing on the lines for rides. But as COVID-19 cases in Florida continue to rise, families like the Evans are forced to make some tough choices.
We're trying to put some sort of normalcy in our kids' lives at the same time as weighing the cost and potential risk of doing this.
When we come back, Jerry has a look at the forecast. Jerry, I know you used to live in Florida. Could you imagine wearing a mask all day in that humidity?
Yeah, exactly. Oof. That's what I don't miss, the humidity. Well, we're lacking that today. The numbers have dropped down as far as the stickiness outside. We saw a little bit out over the weekend. A little bit of cloud cover, breezes out of the west, and yesterday we had a high of 121 in Palm Springs. Where do we go from there? Yeah, you're yelling down, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening. Temperatures back off. Full forecast in 7 day next. And a good Monday to you. Yeah, we're seeing the camera shake a little bit there. Our Agua Caliente Casino Cam. A little bit of wind coming out of the west right now as you look at some high clouds overhead, a lot of sunshine. Another view, of our Agua Caliente Casino Cam. This one's Palm Springs, I believe, right? Or Rancho Mirage? Which one? I don't know. Palm Springs. Okay, 115, the high today. A little better than the 121 we saw yesterday. 108 is our average. We'll see the numbers come down a little bit beginning tomorrow. Still some hot numbers out there. 114 Palm Springs, Coachella. 105 at 29 Palms, 97 degrees. At Cabazon, clear skies over the valley right now. Although we're on the very western perimeter of seeing some of those high clouds come in to Southern California, all the precipitation stays well to our east. We have that excessive heat warning, another 2.5 hours, and that'll be dropped. And we're done with that for a while over the Coachella Valley High Desert and San Gorgonio Pass as temperatures begin to relax a little bit. So overnight, 70s and 80s around the Coachella Valley. That high pressure center relaxes enough to bring temperatures down to where they should be, straddling that 110 mark tomorrow afternoon. Dew points a little lower too. We'll see some upper 30s, low 40s tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow, 109 for Palm Springs, 110 at Palm Desert. And those high clouds we're seeing right now, that'll begin to dissipate tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see a string of sunny skies over the Coachella Valley. And dew points, which basically were up there a little bit of humidity over the weekend. Those numbers dropped to the mid-30s Tuesday and Wednesday before recovering a little bit by the end of the week. Comfort Air 7-day forecast, 109 tomorrow. Same for Wednesday and Thursday. Numbers inch up a little bit as we head to the weekend. 111 Saturday, 112 Sunday.
Well, if you haven't filed your federal taxes yet, you have just 2 days to do so. This year's federal tax income deadline was postponed till Wednesday, July 15th. If you haven't filed, you're going to want to do it. Turns out the government still wants our money. There's a huge backlog of paper tax returns because so many IRS employees have been working from home. You can also request an extension to October 15th, but you need to submit it before the 15th. And by the way, if you owe money, you still have to send that. We'll be right back. All right, we want to share this with you again, and we're going to tell you about this a while till everybody kind of gets the hang of it. This QR code is going to pop up at the end of every one of our newscasts, and if you point your camera phone at it, a bar will come up, and you click on that bar, and it will take you to all of our social media websites. So if you want to see an entire newscast that you missed, or a story that you possibly saw only half of, or the story you really want to see again, this is a quick, easy way to do it. Just again, point your camera phone right at the QR bar there, and hit the bar, and it'll take you right to all of our social media websites, just like that. What do you think of that, Sarah?
It's so easy, all of us can do it.
So easy, anyone can do it. That's going to do it for us. See you back here at 6 o'clock.